Okay, so again, introductions. We have Shamar Persaud, is that correct? Yes, okay. And Leif Miller, and Keith Prey, yes? And Henry Loengard, okay. And on the Skype, we have Ruud. Yes, and Karin, and Marlene. So we do have a number of teachers, music teachers, or other people from school districts, and I think that they were interested in knowing how an adaptive musical instrument might work into their program. And so Keith has already talked a little bit about that, and Leif did a wonderful job showing us how students with significant disabilities can access.
But I just want to say, we've also given workshops to
Yes.
school district teachers. And some of the feedback we got was that it's a great tool for, firstly, it is a good tool for everybody, but teaching kids about improvisation and also how you can really incorporate kids with very significant disabilities and challenges to play music with kids. It's just bringing people together through music. And the magic, I think, of the adaptive use musical, of course, it's free, and or basically free if you use the iPad, but that it can really bring the kids together of all types of disabilities. So I think it's not just, and also we're seeing a lot more kids going back to their going back to their home schools, and a lot of teachers not having tools to deal that are geared for their students who are coming back into their districts, and that's been more of the push in education right now. So it's another tool in our toolbox and in our wonderful musical toolbox.
Great.
So you have to use it now.
I agree.
It's a hard sell.
I was already seeing how all these instruments
I
can
know,
work
they're
together.
really,
It's great.
and to see the joy. Everybody's just
I was
joy.
gonna say, one of the most nicest things to see is that these people that are playing the instruments, they just look like they're enjoying themselves so much. And that's, of course, true of any musician, but it's especially true of people who are not able to play other instruments or haven't been able to play in a long time. It just seems to feed their soul, you know. And so that's, maybe Shamar wants to talk a little bit about how he enjoys it, what he enjoys about it.
Well, see, when I started the jam box, I was so excited to play an instrument. Finally, like the first major instrument. I felt so I felt like I was a part of something.
You felt like a part of the team, yeah, part of the group.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful for it, and it brought me joy.
Brought him joy, yeah. That's great, yeah, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that music.
Yeah. And I feel like everybody should be joyful.
Yep.
So how about, should we open up for a question or two?
Teachers want to ask any questions?
Yes, okay. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Diana Ackner. I'm from the Garrelts School District. Keith, I have a question for you. How did you go about getting all the technology in your classroom?
A lot of it's mine,
That's right.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
as being a music teacher, a lot of times, or a teacher in general, a lot of times we supply our own equipment. You know, but there are ways to get grants and those kind of things. And I know Dave, you've been involved in some of that, right, for Shamar and trying to help provide the equipment needed. You know, we found through last year getting the one for the school district, the jam box. The school district, of course, has set aside budgetary money for special education purposes, and therefore that was an easy sell right there. You know, it was just, here's a chance for a student to have more opportunity, and so the part of it is of course looking for the grants and ways to get funding. But sometimes, the quickest way is I know my equipment better than any other equipment, so I use my laptop. I use, those kind of things. But for the parade, we were trying to get them ready for the parade this last year, and we were trying to figure out the best solution and have whether it was a battery-powered speaker or a Bluetooth speaker. And so we've learned a lot, and we keep it just like the instruments. You adapt them and try to find new ways to solve the problem, I guess, at hand. So there's a lot of ways that you can use it. You just got to kind of think through it a little bit.
And our organization is also looking to help any child in our area, or search through funding streams, and also help provide some technical support for the staff and some workshops.
Our long-term goal is to really, if we can raise some money, we'd like to be able to do the same thing they do in Netherlands. Ruud is able to raise some money to purchase instruments, and then he loans those instruments at a very low cost, annually or biannually. That way, if an instrument doesn't work out, they can always send it back, and we can loan it to someone else. Because it is a big investment, especially the magic flute is a bit of an investment. So if we can get funding to purchase one or two, then that would allow us to loan them out to people. Same with the jam box. It's not as expensive as the magic flute.
But the jam box, again, is a little bit pricey for the average person. So we'd like to be able to start purchasing them and loaning them to students and children and adults around the area.
What is the cost for those?
What is the cost? I will let Ruud, could you tell us in the America, someone just asked, how much does the magic flute cost? Around $2,000 for the magic flute. What? But again, the magic flute, you don't need a laptop. You don't need to purchase a separate laptop with the magic flute.
And what about
Correct?
Well, maybe incorrect. The magic flute costs about $2,000, but the most people forget how expensive an electric guitar or a good saxophone or a well-working keyboard, how expensive that is. And if you look at the magic flute, you can play saxophone, keyboard, drums, everything. But if you have a saxophone and a keyboard and a guitar and everything more, what you need when you will be a good musician, then you need a lot more money. So you can say it's expensive, but for the real musicians, it's not a lot of money.
Right, and not only that, because you don't need a laptop with it, it's all
Also,
yeah, and with the jam box, you still need to own a laptop.
yeah.
Yes, okay.
And the last thing I want to say about that is that there's more user-friendliness to a standalone system,
Yeah.
So you don't run into any computer problems.
So that's right, no computer interfacing problems. And it's
Yes.
pretty easy to learn.
It is, because you can improvise with a lot of musician skills. So children with a low level of thinking, like children from about 4 years old, can play the magic flute.
Right.
So you don't have to think a lot about it. Yeah, if you want to play magic, then you need brains. But if you then you can play a skill with improvised skill. So.
Okay.
We're going to move on and talk about the jam box for a minute, okay, Ruud?
Yes.
So there was a question about the price of the instruments. The jam box, I think they could tell you, is it about $500 or so? $400? $399.
But with that microphone, there's a need for making it units.
Mike is coming in now, I think. Mike can tell us a little bit. Nope, that's Jonas.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, come on in, Mike. Just tell us has a question or a comment.
Yes, we are. So we hope to have a unit very soon that will work with an iPad and it's easy to. Right now, you definitely need the USB connection for the Jambox. And that, drives up the cost because you do need additional hardware to use. Yeah, so the unit that you see here, it's about $499. I can't. I'll go. Yeah, it's $499, and it's also if you wanted a multi-user unit, it's more expensive. It's about $799, and that's for a system for a school or some place that you're going to have multiple users in a setting like that playing the same instrument, so you can interchange the mouthpieces. The mouthpieces have electronics and sensors individually in each mouthpiece, so there's no risk of cross-contamination between users when you have that kind of setting. So whether it be a rehab center or hospital or nursing home, some of our customers that are using the Jambox are in these environments where the sanitary requirements are
fragile.
yeah. So it's that drives the cost up a little bit of the mouthpieces, and we are working now on new technology, trying to drive the price down, and we hope to have the very low, ultra low cost version of the Jambox available in a few months. So but it's not an impulse buy by any means. It's something that needs to be thought of when you're looking at purchasing this in a school district or something like that. One thing that we've had a lot of success with, and especially for Shamar's unit, is the
Dijk
local,
Foundation, or?
the Karin and Gary Dijk Foundation.
They own Stewart's.
And they have a nonprofit that funds adaptive equipment for kids in the area. It's a very great organization, and they were able to help Shamar out with that purchase and fund that. So.
It's my understanding they have some kind of event coming up too, the Dijk Foundation, or no?
I'm not.
Okay.
familiar with it.
They do have actually.
Oh, so
Okay.
he knows a little bit
Yeah.
about it.
I'll just give it to you.
Okay.
They have an event coming up on Thursday, April 16th, 5:30 at the National Museum of Dance in Saratoga Springs.
National Museum Dance,
Yes.
Thursday, April
16th,
16th. Okay.
5:30 p.m.
Your taxes get paid, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe that they would entertain on a case-by-case basis,
Yes.
helping to fund a musical instrument.
Yes, yeah.
For
Not just the
students,
Jambox,
right.
but, yeah.
For this area?
Yeah, it's basically for
Upstate.
the area that Stewart's serves. So it's
Stewart's.
Stewart's.
Where there's a Stewart, they'll.
Pretty much where
Oh,
Stewart's
and
are.
how do you say the Dijk?
Dijk.
D-A-K-E. They do
We'll
a lot.
email
They
you.
provide a lot of funding for children's services, and they're willing to help try to get the musical instruments out to more kids.
Okay.
So, is there any other questions we had about the instruments?
I had a question about keys. Like, can you program them into a key? Or is it something where they have to know exactly, where their head moves or whatever? Like when she was playing Imagine, I could imagine how hard it would be to get the correct intonation if it was, how does it work? Do you put it in a key or?
Did you hear that question, Ruud?
Rude.
We muted them.
Oh, you muted them.
He's back. But you're correct. They're
Mike can tell you.
choose whatever key that you play in.
Those right?
Yes. Can you change the key of the magic flute so that?
Yeah.
Okay.
What we have is, if you have a keyboard, you can always transpose to any key. Yeah, there's a transpose key on the keyboard. We have the same in the magic flute. So what we do is we learn the songs in C major scale, but we can transpose them to any scale. So you always can play along with any music. But we learn it the easy way. with white keys only, and then later we transpose it to the right key. Is that
Yes.
the answer you wanted?
Oh, yes, that is. Thank you. And Leaf, you change the keys? You can change the voices, obviously, of the only.
Yeah, we have. You can definitely go into any key, any scale. You know, any note. That both the iPad version and the laptop version.
Okay, great.
Both have that.
Wonderful.
Is there any other questions?
Yes, hi. Your name?
Ted Krieger, I'm a faculty member at RPI. And I was wondering if Ruud could talk about, he mentioned taking music on the road and playing for people in schools or to the public. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that program.
Yeah, it's a big thing in our program. It's not only playing an instrument, but also show that you play an instrument. And by showing that you play an instrument to other able people and disabled people, I think that is an enormous role for us to do. So the able people get used to the idea that disabled people can play music, and also the disabled people know that we're out there and that they can have an instrument. We have a loan program, and at the moment we have 60 instruments lent through all the Netherlands, and we want to double this in 2 years. And we have a new concept where adults can lease an instrument. It's a new idea we had a month ago, inspired by my friend with Music USA, because they also lend instruments, I heard, to elderly people. So we were thinking, yeah, that's right. We have to do that too.
But there's also the thing of not only the loaning program, but my experience is that disabled people having a kind of fear about getting a hobby or try something new, because their whole life they have to deal with things they can't. Like walking, playing with other kids, because your wheelchair is not as fast as other kids can run. And at school you have several disabilities you have to deal with, and as a child it's hard to see only the possibilities and not the disabilities. So yeah, it's hard for someone with a disability to try new things, because they are not wanting to be disappointed. And by trying new things, there's a huge risk to being disappointed. So if someone with a very heavy disability, like in a wheelchair, can't move their arms very good, and you can see they can't do a lot. If they can play an instrument, then children who might can do something more, they're not as afraid as they used to be. So I think it's important to show them that a disability is not always a huge disability, but you can also have possibilities with your disability.
Very good. Thank you, Karin. Okay. Any other? We're going to ask for more questions. Any other questions right now? Well, I think we'd like to thank our guests that have come for our panel all the way from the Netherlands and from Kingston and locally. Thank you very much.